Okay, so we now know which order they're going to be pressed in. They're going to be pressed in the order of this here. So I've now got to think, how do we want to implement that into the button? So we set up the word arrays, we've determined the order, so now I've got to program the button pressers. We've determined the correct order of those words. It's in this order. So we're going to create a new string. Again, many ways of doing this, but here's the way I'm going to do it. We're going to create a private string, just a single string, and we're going to call this correct answer. I'm doing it with strings rather than any other way, because strings are easy to use and easy to follow. They're just words and characters and letters. So private string correct answer equals blank, just to start it off. Once we have determined the order, we need to tell it which one of them is the correct answer, and we're going to do that down here, because the correct answer is going to change every time. Now let me just think if I can, how we're going to do this. When we click a button, we essentially want it to go up a stage. Correct answer, so every time we press a button, it will calculate the correct answer. So correct answer equals chosen words, or let's create a little stage variable. I'm going to call this private int stage equals 0, so you can start at stage 1, stage 0 rather. Correct answer equals, right, correct column, so that's the column of words, and again we're going to need a double index, but we'll do them one at a time. Chosen words indices ordered stage. Now what this does is it tells the it tells it to put into this string here, the correct answer string, we're looking at the correct column array, and within that correct column array we want this entry, which is the chosen words indices ordered, the first one, sorry, the new one that we made with them in the right order, and the first stage of that. Once we've done that, we go stage plus plus to increase the stage. Oh, that's a handle pass method I put in earlier on last night just to test it out. You can get rid of that log now, because in fact I might get rid of it. I might just modify it slightly to tell us which one we pressed. Oh, after we've determined the order, we're also going to want to put the order of the words into a log. So the correct pressing order is, and again it's going to be correct column, chosen words indices ordered this time, rather than the random one. So we've got two very similar looking logs. This first one is just going to tell us what the buttons are in order from top to bottom. So your chosen words from top to bottom are, and then here the correct order is, and then it will tell us the correct order as well. Coming down here, we're now going to put this log in. The word you pressed is, oh hang on, no, we're going to do this one, won't we? We'll just put you pressed 1, and that is going to be correct answer. No, it's not going to be correct answer, because we don't want it to log the correct answer, we want it to log what we pressed. So word, which is the word of the selectable, and it's basically this line here. We talked about this last night, so I'm not going to go into detail again about it now, but that's going to get the word that we pressed and put it into the log for us. Now, this thing here, we also want to put into some sort of thing to recognize if it's the correct answer. Again, a number of different ways you can do this. You can get it to check every time if the correct answer has been put in. and if it is, then it will continue, and if at any point there's a wrong answer, it will give, we can set a boolean to false or something. That might be the way I'm going to do it. Yes, I think I will. If, again, this little block of code here, if the thing you pressed is equal to the correct answer, then we've got it right. In fact, I might just only check if it's wrong. If it's not the correct answer, and let's set a little bool up here, private bool incorrect, and that will default as false. So actually this module is going to start off with everything being correct, okay, but you're going to need to increase this stage before it will actually disarm it for you. So here we're going to check if this bit here, the word that we pressed, is not equal to the correct answer. Incorrect equals true, and it's going to do that every time we go through. If it is correct, it's going to ignore this, and incorrect is going to stay off. I'm actually going to move the stage ++ down a little bit, so after it's checked the answer, it's going to increase the stage. Now, if the stage equals 4, that means it's reached the end. You've pressed all 4 buttons if we get to stage 4, because it's starting at 0. So if the stage gets to 4, first of all we need to reset the stage. Then we want to check if it's correct. So if incorrect is false, that's a solved module. Else, strike and reset. It's not perhaps the most elegant way of doing this, but I think it's going to work quite nicely for me. So let's put in our solved carries first of all. First of all, we're going to go module solved equals true. And the reason we do that is because I've got this little boolean up here, module solved, and I'm going to put this into WordPress and go if module solved return. That means if we press a button after we've solved it, it's going to cancel this process. That's what return does. It cancels the process, and it means it won't look at the rest of it, which for all intents and purposes means once you've solved it, you can't access it anymore beyond this stage. So module solved is true. We're going to want a handle pass method, which I'm just going to find from this other script here. Copy that, because that's the same for everything. Handle pass. And because we've already logged up here what the correct order is, and we're logging them one at a time as you press them, we don't need to log again what order they pressed in, because they'll be able to look at what the correct order was and then their individual presses. So we can just put one of these down here and go, oops, the module solved. That's all we need in there. And that's it, I think, for that. Yeah. Now, the other thing we now need to put in is the strike and reset. So, first of all, we'll do the strike handler, handle strike. That will give us a strike. The stage has already been reset to 0 up here. Now, I mentioned earlier on we're going to need to clear the lists. We're also going to put in there, strike, you did not enter the words in the right order. And again, that's all we need to say because we're logging the order that they've put them in already up here. So it'll be clear, we don't need to do it again, we just need to tell them that was wrong. We then need to clear these lists that we've made because we're going to recompile them with new words. So there's only these two lists here, chosen words indices ordered and chosen words indices. And to clear them, we're just going to paste them in down here and go dot clear and dot clear. That will wipe them clean and we're ready to start again. And to start again, we're just going to simply go back into our start method back at the top now. Here's the bit I showed you last night. Because it's already picked the colour, it's not going to redetermine the list or change the LED colour they already picked, but it will pick us some new words and it will redetermine the order for us. Now I think that is all correct. This right down here, this entire method here, is just to do with pressing the buttons, and I've sort of gone through it a little bit quickly, and I hope that you've had an opportunity to follow that okay. Let's see if we've got any compiler errors first of all. Doesn't look like it. I'm going to check in with the chat. Why am I killing my eyes with light theme on Twitch? I'm not sure. It's just what I've always had. I changed my repo setting to dark the other day. Okay. T-words or hides inherited member Unity engine component using. Oh, okay. That's why I had a capital A on audio. So I'm just going to change that over. Which means I'm probably going to need to reassign it in the inspector. It's going to disappear now. Back in. Templates get modular ID is assigned, but its value is never used. That's fine because that's just for logging. Module solved is assigned to and will always have the default value false. Well, that's not right because we have put it down there. Module solved equals true. So I don't know why it's coming up like that. Let's give this a whirl and see what happens then. Oh, it's on a different script. That's right. Okay, so the LED is blue. Your chosen words from top to bottom are Techioscopy, Tabernacle, Taramorphous and Taphogenesis. The correct order is Taramorphous, Techioscopy, Taphogenesis and Tabernacle. So let's put them in the right order first of all. Taramorphous, you press Taramorphous. You press Techioscopy, you press Taphogenesis, you press Tabernacle, and then it will tell us module solved. And you'll see now when we click them, nothing happens in the logging. Now let's get it wrong on purpose. Remind me in a minute, I need to put the logging for the column in as well. Kept orders, okay, so it's going to go top to bottom. You press Tabernacle, you press Tatterdemalion, you press Totocronus. Strike, you did not enter the words in the right order. I'm going to change that to correct. And there's one other thing I need to add in. Remember this little incorrect boolean up here? Well, if I get it wrong, then that will be set to false, and there will never be an opportunity for it to go back to true at the moment. So after we've got it wrong, I can set that back to, not module solved, set that back to false. So that gives a full restart. The other thing I want to do is log the column that we're using. So to do that, I'm going to do this individually through here. Again, not the most efficient way of writing code. There's a way of doing it because I'm essentially, just like I said with the prefab last night, if I'm doing the same thing 5 times, that's a waste of time, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm doing the same log 5 times, but yeah. So for this, we can actually get rid of that because we don't need it. We go back here, and we go. The chosen column is column. No. Correct column is number, and then we can just make our little edits: number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Ah, we've got a problem because it's logging that column for every single word in the list. It's logging it 20 times. So perhaps that is not the right place to put that log. Yes, because of course it's inside a for loop. So what we're going to do is actually take it out of the for loop. I'm going to select all of these. 3. This is another thing, if you make a little error like this, then it takes a longer time to fix it. We're going to cut them, get rid of that line, and then paste it after the for loop. Oh shit. I pressed copy again, so let's try that again. Control X, down, enter, Control V. And now it will only log it once the for loop has completed. compile and hit play. The LED is purple, and the correct column is number 4. So actually we can check this. Chosen words from top to bottom are tenderometer, tabernacle, tamandua and tellurian. Let's check. The correct order is tellurian first. So there's tellurian. Tamandua. Tamandua. Tenderometer. Tenderometer. And then tabernacle. Tabernacle. Okay. So you can see that this is working. This is working really, really nicely. And now let's get it wrong and then right on purpose. So chosen words are tenderometer, tabernacle. So let's just do them from top to bottom. It's going to be incorrect. Tellurian, you did not enter the words in the correct order. And it's also repicked the words for us, so I'm just going to put these again in the wrong order. See, it completely picks different words. The chosen words are from top to bottom: tablature, tellurometer, tectosphere and tachyphrasia. And it's telling me it's tellurometer, tachyphrasia, tablature and then tectosphere. The column is still column 4. So let's check column 4. Tellurometer is first. Yes, it is. Then tachyphrasia. Absolutely. Then tablature. There it is. And then finally tectosphere, which is right down there. So our logging is correct, and it's reflecting that logging in the program. So we're going to go tellurometer, tachyphrasia, tablature, and tectosphere. And there we go, that's a solve module. Okay, something else that I want to do, because at the moment we can't tell after we've pressed them which buttons we've pressed. So we want them to change colour. We want to start as white, and we want to change them to, I think, green after they've been pressed, or maybe orange after they've been pressed. So I'm just going to take my hoodie off, a bit warm. Orange after they've been pressed, and then green if they're correct, red if they're wrong, maybe before flashing back to white. That would involve doing coroutines and stuff, which I wasn't planning on showing you on this stream, just because, again, it's a little bit more of a complicated thing to do, but I might put it in anyway. Not much happening in the chat, but you're very welcome here if you're watching. It's nice to have you. This is my Unity t-shirt, by the way, which I quite like. So all these words are going to start off as white, and we want to change them to different colours after they've been pressed. So let's go with green for correct, orange for they've been pressed, red for incorrect, and white for static, so to speak. So we're going to need 4 colours. So we're going to set up a public colour array, and we're going to call this font colours. Notice the American spelling of colour there, but because I'm British, I still write with a U there. That's probably an inconsistency that can get you into hot water if you've got quite dense codes. It's probably a good idea to be consistent, but I'm British and therefore pedantic, so I'm going to stick with that. That's going to give us an option to create some nice new colours, font colours. There we go. Now, picking colours is slightly different from picking materials. When you tint a material, you bring this. I was going to do this thing again. I was doing this last night to minimise the thing. When you pick a material, this bottom one, the alpha colour, is automatically set to full. But on fonts and general colours, it's not. It's by default set to 0, which means everything that you do will be see-through, which we don't want. We want it to be opaque. So the first thing I'm going to do before we pick any colours is bring our alpha level up to white up there. So I want a nice white font, I think. I could even make them go black after they're done and make them disappear and just have a little light on at the end. In fact, I quite like that. That is what I'm going to do. In fact, I don't even need a font for that. I'll just disable the objects. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So that goes white, and then we want to go... so I'm going to make it green after they've been pressed now. And I'm going to put a red in there as well. I am going to do this coroutine just to show you what it's like. And actually that's all I need if I'm going to make them disappear upon completion. so I actually only need 3 colours in my array. So, oh, wrong way, where's Atom gone? Oh yes, I've minimised, let's bring this back up and put it on the right side of Atom. So, we've got my new colours, and every time we set up these words, when they re-pick them, we want all of them to be white. So we determine lists, pick words. It's the last thing we're going to do in this for statement. We want it to be for all of them. When it picks the words, it's going to make them white. So we're going to go words text I, and instead of dot text, because we don't want to change the text, we've already set that, we want to change the colour. So we're going to dot colour equals font colours 0. And this has a fixed index because we always want it to be white at this point. We're going to copy this line of code into our WordPress, because when we press the button, we want it to go green. So the first thing we're going to do is put it in there. Now it's not going to be words text, it's going to be just like down here, we want to get the component into children because we need to get the text mesh. So there's going to be word dot get component in children. Oops. Component in children. Text mesh. So we can get hold of that text mesh. Parentheses dot color. So just to show you something, in the different contexts, I'm going to change that to font color 1. If that was 0, these 2 lines of code are essentially saying the same thing, but they're referencing the object we're changing in a different way. We're both changing the colour to font colours, but here it's words text I dot colour because it's directly referencing the text mesh. Here we've got to go to a little bit more effort to get hold of the text mesh because the object that we're iterating here is this KM-selectable. It's the button that we press. So that's why that's 2 ways of writing literally the same thing, but it depends on the context in which you're writing it. So now word.getComponent in children textmesh.color equals font colors 1. So it's going to go green when we press it. Let's compile that and have a look at that in action. We hit play. Now it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. We're going to go green till we get it wrong. And then they go back to white again, which is a really nice, neat little extra thing to do.